Not Every Space is a Press Conference, an editorial by Kyle Taklalsing. The recent public reaction to the interaction between media personnel and officials during the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure's recruitment drive has sparked an important, but often misunderstood, issue: the balance between media freedom and the state's duty to protect citizens. There is a tendency, in moments like these, to reduce complex questions of law and responsibility into short clips and simple outrage. That is rarely a good substitute for serious thinking. Freedom of the media is not in dispute. It is a cornerstone of any functioning democracy. But like all rights, it exists within a legal and professional framework. It is not an unfettered license to access, record, and broadcast any interaction, in any context, without regard to the rights of others. What appears to have been lost in the public commentary is the setting in which this interaction took place. Individuals were attending a state-facilitated process, seeking employment, providing personal information, and engaging with officials in circumstances that are, by their very nature, extremely sensitive and personal. These are not public demonstrations. They are not political rallies. They are administrative exercises involving ordinary citizens, many of whom are in vulnerable positions, seeking assistance, and may not wish to have their efforts broadcast. In those circumstances, the state does not merely have a discretion to protect their privacy, but a duty. It is well established that where the state collects or facilitates the collection of personal information, such as biographical or financial data, it assumes a responsibility to protect that information and the individuals involved. In fact, the law goes so far as to require that unused data must be destroyed. In the words of Lord Toulson, if a citizen's activities are lawful, they should be free from the state keeping a record of them unless, and then only for as long as, such a record really needs to be kept in the public interest. There are established mechanisms for engagement, liaison with official communications units, agreed media access, and, where necessary, recourse to statutory processes such as the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA. These structures exist not to frustrate the media, but to balance transparency with fairness, privacy, and order. None of this is to suggest that the media should be excluded from scrutiny of public processes. On the contrary, transparency remains essential. But transparency must be exercised responsibly, especially where the individuals involved are not policymakers, but citizens seeking opportunity and assistance. The question, therefore, is not whether the media should report. The heart of the issue is whether they should do so in a manner that respects the privacy of individuals who are not subject to the same level of scrutiny as public officials. The persons in those lines were not politicians. In a society governed by law, rights do not exist in isolation. They compete with each other in the public interest. They exist in balance.